Welcome back to CAD Level 1 Sketches and Parts. In the previous module, we set up our CAD mindset, and now it's time to learn how to drive. Let's pull up Onshape together and try this out. When you open Onshape, the first thing that you'll see is your dashboard. You might see something similar to this, probably with no files in it. But let's start by creating a new document. I'm going to call it pretty much like a list. And it will load into a frame that looks like this. Now, I start my workshop off with a challenge, and that is, I dare you to break it. You can't. It's not installed on your computer, and so in order to fix anything that you might break, all you need to do is refresh. So I encourage you, while you're watching me and listening to my instructions, click around and explore for yourself so that we can learn this together. So starting off with the most prominent feature, what do we find in the middle here? Well, top, front, and right planes. Interesting. Usually when we think to describe a 3D space, we use coordinate axes. So why are we using planes in this case? Well, consider the fact that our first step in our recipe is a 2D sketch. In order to draw a two-dimensional sketch, we need something two-dimensional to draw it on. And so, we can choose one of these fundamental planes. On the left, next, on the left-hand side, you'll notice a features list. Right now, there's nothing exciting inside, but as we add sketches and extrusions and sketches and extrusions, this list will populate. The really cool thing is going to be the fact that we'll be able to travel back in time between each of these features. Next, we have the toolbar on top. Recall, we're starting in 3D mode, which is antithetical to our recipe. We're going to have to enter into sketch mode in order to start our recipe at the 2D level. And finally, over here on the right, we have a navigation cube for getting you oriented in case you get lost in space. As you're clicking around, you may notice that this is not the most intuitive control scheme. So let's discover it together. First, what happens when you click? Just a normal left click. Okay, we select things. Great. What happens if I click on another thing? Oh, okay, so now I've selected both of those things. And if I keep clicking, well, okay, how do I get it to stop? Well, we have a few options. Select is a toggle in Onshape, so we can just click on the same thing that we clicked on before, and that will deselect it. Or, when we click on multiple things, and they're all selected, we can press the space bar to deselect everything, or we can simply click off in white space. That will deselect our selection. Next, what happens when you click and drag the left mouse? Ah, a blue square. Very cool. But what does it do? Well, right now, it won't do anything, because the blue square nor the orange square that we're going to talk about are going to interact with our planes. But as we add features, we'll find out that the blue square is an envelope tool, where anything it completely encloses will be selected, and the orange square is a touching paintbrush, where anything it touches gets selected. This is a trivial example. This may seem like a trivial difference, but it's something that I use every time I use CAD, especially when my models get more complicated. Anyway, let's move on to the right click. What happens? Well, okay, we get a little menu. That's cute. How about right click and drag? This is what we've all been waiting for. Rotation. Very cool. The right click and drag allows us to rotate our object in 3D space. We can see all features on all sides. This is going to be huge. Finally, the middle mouse wheel. What happens when we scroll up and down? Okay, we zoom in wherever the mouse is. Clicking and dragging the center mouse wheel allows us to translate or pan, and if we get off center, double-clicking the middle mouse wheel will bring us back to center. Finally, Clicking on any of the corners or faces of this navigation cube will allow us to orient our view in a standard way. Clicking on the corner gives us an isometric view, whereas clicking on a face gives us an orthographic view. Now that we know how to drive, let's start building a model.